Hello, everyone. Welcome to our formal debate on the effectiveness of telehealth in providing ABA and special education services. This is our group. We have Braden Durfee, Sophia Heck on the pro team, Bridget Fitzpatrick, Camila Latson on the con team, and I'll be summarizing the major points from each team. Now, in our debate today, as practitioners, we invest countless hours into profession we love and working with clients that we enjoy working with. To make sure that those hours are used effectively and that we do our best as practitioners, we have to ask ourselves, is what we're doing what's best for the clients, or are we inadvertently creating more harm? To provide the best service possible for our clients and to provide a well-intended service for our client that has inherent flaws leaves us feeling like we inadvertently could have done more. Telehealth is a method for providing ABA services over the phone, internet or phone connection, providing a virtual ABA experience. Usually, ABA is performed in person, and telehealth challenged that norm by providing an alternate format. Telehealth became particularly predominant in the 2020 pandemic amidst social distancing guidelines, where telehealth was brought to the forefront as the primary delivery service for ABA. This has led to a dramatic increase in research that allows us to critically evaluate whether or not the practice is best for our clients. So we will hear alternating statements between our teams advocating for and against telehealth in special education and ABA services, with pros starting first. We will first hear our opening statements, followed by our main arguments and visual supports with rebuttals, and then we will hear our closing statements summarizing the arguments for each team. As the audience, we invite you to analyze the arguments that are presented by each team and determine for yourself, is telehealth delivery model the best interest of our field, or are we doing more harm than good to our clients? Next, we will hear opening statements.
The pro-opening statement is using telehealth for applied behavior analysis services gives the client immediate access to therapy online via phone, laptop, or tablet. By having sessions online provides better opportunities for naturalistic observation since it's a familiar environment for the child. The parents can be more involved in the sessions and they can observe what their child is doing. This is great for self-care skills since you have access to available rooms every day, such as the bathroom, kitchen, or bedroom. There's no travel necessary. By not having to travel for sessions, this can reduce no-show cancellations. This will also be more convenient in the long run and can save money, for example, gas. Therefore, telehealth allows someone to receive services remotely from the comfort of their own home, which could result in better sessions. And here comes the con opening statements.
So this is the opening statement for the con side. We believe that using telehealth for ABA services presents a variety of disadvantages for the client. Online sessions can affect the treatment integrity of intervention. Also, observing behavior online promotes skewed data collection, as the client may move out of frame or have potential audio or video connection issues, which could allow the observer to miss behaviors. This also leads to misdiagnosing and improper intervention methods being implemented. The BCBA naturally will have a harder time building rapport and establishing themselves as a reinforcer with clients over telehealth. This directly impacts treatment and can also lead to higher instances of maladaptive behaviors. Training caregivers through telehealth can also come with its own set of challenges. Proper training and modeling intervention methods to caregivers is an essential part in promoting their child's behavior management and skill acquisition. Some practices are difficult to demonstrate via telehealth. Also, expert recommendations state that training and supporting providers at pre-service and in-service levels provide better outcomes with increasing access to training for parents and children with ASD. Parents who cannot properly get trained due to telehealth limitations suffer greatly, as well as their child. Mastering goals, generalizing skills, and overall treatment progress may be stunted without proper parent training. Overall, there's many severe drawbacks in providing ABA services through telehealth, which promote ineffective therapy practices and hinder the client and their learning.
I will be explaining our main points for why the effectiveness of telehealth is beneficial for individuals with ASD is that telehealth gives the client immediate access of therapy online via phone, tablet, or laptop. Having sessions online while the client is at home provides great opportunities for naturalistic observation by the therapist. Having the client in a comfortable and familiar setting could allow for increased engagement and progress in treatment. In a study conducting research on the effectiveness of telehealth direct therapy with individuals with ASD, results showed that using telehealth direct therapy led to a generalization of mastered skills towards family members in the home setting. This research shows how remote therapy may promote benefits toward generalizing skills in individuals with ASD in the home setting. Telehealth sessions also allow for flexibility and convenience when making treatment schedules due to not having to factor in the travel time for the client or the analyst. This also allows for sessions to be started or ended quicker if there is an unexpected change in either the client or the analyst schedule. The client or the therapist could unexpectedly become sick, or an emergency situation may occur the day of or even during the session that would affect the treatment plan. Having sessions remotely online allows for sessions to be ended or rescheduled in a quicker fashion while not affecting the treatment plan. Telehealth sessions also allows for more consistent treatment due to less cancellations during travel restrictions or inclement weather. The COVID-19 pandemic is a prime example of this. The pandemic initially left many individuals with ASD without services due to the travel restrictions and initial staffing cuts made by service providers. Utilizing telehealth services during this difficult time allowed many individuals with ASD to continue their much-needed therapy and stay on a consistent treatment schedule. Our second main point for why the effectiveness of telehealth the clients due to not having to pay for expenses incorporated with commuting to in-person therapy. This certain therapy providers or insurance providers may offer reduced pricing structures for telehealth treatment as compared to in-person treatment. According to research conducted on telehealth prior to and during the COVID-19 pandemic, children who are at or below the poverty line or live in rural areas are diagnosed with ASD much later than those children who are of high socioeconomic status or live in more urban areas. Telehealth can also be cost-effective for treatment providers as well, due to not having to make overhead costs on maintaining a clinic or an office. Telehealth service providers would not have to make expenses for any outside purchases not directly related to the client's therapy, such as electricity and water bills for the facility or paying for people to clean and manage the facility. Our third main point for why the effectiveness of telehealth is beneficial for individuals with ASD is that it allows for more parental involvement in therapy sessions. Having the parent more involved allows for the parent to acquire the proper skills to assist their child in their treatment plan. This will enhance the parent's confidence when faced with managing challenging behavior outside of therapy sessions. According to a study conducted on a caregiver training via telehealth, it is beneficial for behavior analysts to consider using systematic methods to develop individualized training packages for caregivers in order for the parent to conduct treatment procedures outside of therapy sessions. Resources and visuals are also able to be shared quickly and effectively between the parent and the analyst, allowing them to be saved and used at any time in the future. This would promote maintenance and generalization of skills through the treatment process by being able to extract these visuals at any time, even outside therapy sessions. Analysts are also able to offer immediate feedback to reinforce positive parenting practices. This can increase effective communication and relationship building between the parent and the child, as well as between the parent and the therapist. Building strong rapport between clients and their parents allows for better opportunities to master skills and increase treatment options. Now we will be moving on to the con rebuttal.
Okay, so firstly, given the client immediate access of therapy by online via phone, tablet, or laptop was the point that the other side made. So for the con rebuttal, we'll say that ABA is a unique type of therapy that requires adequate visual and auditory access for the client. This just simply isn't possible as far as telehealth goes for providing ABA services. In addition, ABA therapy is wide ranging with prompts and cues. Due to telehealth, the clinician is unable to use tactile prompts and also limited with their use of visual prompts and cues also. And yes, while telehealth does give people access to therapy, it is only for people with video technology and internet access. If the client has poor internet connection, then the therapy won't be effective. Now, for the point of telehealth being more cost effective, telehealth services are not always more cost effective, especially for families whose insurance provider doesn't offer reduced pricing. The cost can equal to the same or more depending on the service or insurance provider and their specific pricing structure. Research also states that cost effective interventions may not always be implemented due to budget constraints, causing many healthcare organizations to only implement telehealth services at times in which the budget allows for, and that there's generally not a cost increase associated with it. These programs are not common and ultimately prove to be unsustainable. Cost effectiveness of telehealth is usually determined by looking at limited research regarding one specific clinical specialty and does not account for broader overall factors. The third point was that telehealth allows for more parental involvement. Parental involvement in services is only beneficial if parents are trained properly first and know how to effectively implement interventions. And this is usually hard to achieve using telehealth services. Also, parents might accidentally reinforce problem behaviors or may not be as likely to follow through with certain interventions if they're not trained correctly or unwilling to be a part of the learning process. Also, some parents may not be open to feedback or don't want to be heavily involved with implementing the treatment plan to begin with.
Thank you. Now we will hear the main points for the con argument.
Yes, the con side has three main points that we are going to discuss. The con negates that ABA therapy via telehealth is effective and appropriate use for clients. Our first main point is that telehealth with ABA decreases data accuracy and misdiagnoses. Violations of the ethics code include Code 2.01, providing effective treatment, Code 2.03, protecting confidential information, Code 2.13, selecting, designing, and implementing assessments, Code 2.14, selecting, designing, and implementing behavior change interventions, and Code 2.17, collecting and using data. Subpoint number 1. Viewing behavior online can lead to inaccurate data collection. Observational data collection can be skewed due to client moving off camera, poor audio to catch sound, and the screen on the computer is too small to see details. If you look at our visual aids, the one on the farthest right has multiple colors. That one is explaining the different methods of observation. All of them require some form of observational data collection. According to Guinita in 2016, one crucial component for discrete trial training, DTT, is accurate data collection, end quote. So all of this is saying is that the BCBA needs to be able to properly view the client to better understand the function of the behavior to determine that. Unfortunately, if the client BCBA is not able to hear the client, or if the client leaves off camera, the BCBA will not be able to accurately collect that data. Subpoint number 2 is the quality of technology can alter possible observations and skew data. Clients are required to have high quality cameras, audio, and internet to be able to receive therapy. So what this point is saying is that clients are required to have internet access as well as a full computer setup that has audio, microphones, and visual setup in order for them to be able to have effective telehealth therapy. If you look at our other visual aids, you can see that there is a high portion of citizens in America who do not have access to computers or tablets that have that visual and audio equipment, as well as there's a high portion of individuals in America who do not have access to proper internet services. So this has to be high quality internet in order to stream live, be able to do telehealth. Our subpoint number 3 is that telehealth relies heavily on parent support. Parent involvement can alter assessment and treatment results by offering visual and auditory prompts to the child. Already, parents before therapy have found ways to adapt and support their child throughout life. And when we are assessing the client, it can be hard to determine their current level of function if the parent is offering that support while we are conducting and gathering data. According to Yan in 2022, recently research exploring the facilitative and adverse factors of parent involvement of children with ASD has increased, particularly given that many parents are reluctant to be involved in the educational activities with their child with ASD due to limited social and emotional feedback, end quote. So this is just conferring and providing evidence of the fact that parents do adapt, or they don't, or they ignore their child for various reasons. And that is not conducive for telehealth if the BCBA is not able to be hands-on with the client. And that does end our main point number 1. Our main point number 2 is the increased fraud and abuse possible through telehealth. Code of ethics violations include Code 2.05, documentation protection and retention, Code 2.06, accuracy in service billing and reporting, Code 2.07, fees. Subpoint number 1 is telehealth can facilitate distractions that can disengage the BCBA from performing duties while with the client. According to Gowala and Pulowski in 2021, violations of healthcare laws can result in fines, prison time, and exclusion from Medicare and or Medicaid programs. So healthcare providers cannot provide fraudulent data collection results, cannot provide fraudulent documentation. And if the BCBA is online, that can lead to distractions surrounding them in their own environment at their household, but also can skew data results leading to that fraud. Subpoint number 2 is the BCBA can remove themselves and not watch the client during telehealth, again, performing fraud. So when we're looking at a Zoom, for instance, other people can, BCBAs cannot have their camera on. Therefore, the clients do not know if they are present. The other thing is that the BCBA can switch screens and be on the internet, looking at other sites, while seemingly looking to the client that they are engaged. And that can lead to fraud because the BCBA is not working with the client or attending to the client and their needs. Subpoint number 3 is there is a precedent of telehealth fraud in America, and if telehealth continues to grow, this level of fraud will continue as well. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office in 2023, the owner of Conclave Media and Nationwide Health Advocates pleaded guilty in connection to a $44 million telemedicine fraud scheme, end quote. So currently in America, we are seeing that telehealth can lead to fraud. And we just have a case here where $44 million was used to settle that case. If we continue to allow telehealth to grow and be and infiltrate the field of ABA, we can see that this type of fraud can also increase and grow, and it will harm our clients in doing so. That does end main point 2. Our last point is main point 3. It's hard to engage, train, and motivate clients/parents. Code of ethics violations include 1.15, responding to requests, 2.01, providing effective treatment, and 2.02, timeliness. Subpoint 1, telehealth requires more parent involvement due to the clinician not being on site. We discussed this earlier, but it does require the parent to help the client be on screen. Any type of tactile prompts the parent would have to do because the BCBA is not on site. As well as when we're looking at training, the BCBA is not able to properly train any type of RBT or BT on site due to the fact that they are not present to help facilitate that training. Subpoint number 2, it's difficult for the BCBA to engage with clients to motivate them for assessment and treatment. When we're looking at motivations for behavior, you have reinforcement and punishment procedures. You have positive and negative reinforcement. And if deemed necessary, after exhausting all reinforcements, you also can use punishment protocols, positive and negative punishment protocols. However, it is hard for a BCBA online to provide any type of reinforcement that might motivate the client. For instance, edible reinforcements like candy or treats, as well as toys. Physical, tactile reinforcements as well is not possible via telehealth. Our main point number 3 is that it's harder for the BCBA to develop a repertoire and relationship with the client and the parent to better support their individual needs. It's hard on telehealth with this barrier of not being in person for the BCBA to build a relationship with the client. And subpoint number 4, it is difficult to model and train parents via telehealth. According to Ignersol in 2020, parent training, which involves providers teach parent intervention strategies to promote their child's skill acquisition and or behavior, is considered to be best practice in the treatment for children with autism, end quote. Parent training is vital for the child. When we're looking at parents spend the most time with their kids, therefore training them needs to be a priority. However, due to telehealth, it is hard for the BCBA to model, to imitate, and to answer any type of questions that might come up through that training. Therefore, for all of these 3 main points, the con states that in negation to the use of telehealth with ABA therapy. And that does end the con main points.
For the pro-rebuttal, for rebuttal con main point number 1, decreased data accuracy and misdiagnosis. Telehealth has requirements when it comes to online sessions. They require Wi-Fi with a wired internet, which will make connections smoother. They also rely on high-speed internet. Most computers do have webcams built in, but the quality might not be good enough. They say that we can go out and get new laptops with better high-speed quality, connection, and camera quality. If you follow the telehealth requirements and the code of ethics, you will not have decreased data accuracy and misdiagnosis. The 4 core principles of behavior and that behavior analysts should follow is benefit others, treat others with compassion, dignity, and respect, behave with integrity, and ensure their own competence. Therefore, if you follow these codes while you're running sessions, you will be ethical and you will not have fixed diagnosis. For rebuttal, con main point number 2, increased fraud and abuse. People who use telehealth are committed to be ethical and build trust with the users to ensure that the personal information is confidential. Must use technology vendors that comply with the HIPAA rules. Privacy requirements are to follow the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1966. And to not have complaints of fraud or abuse, the people who are running sessions will be trained properly on how to bill sessions. For rebuttal, con main point number 3, hard to engage, train, and motivate clients/parents. We should create opportunities for active participation during the sessions. We will use engaging techniques and or exercises to make the sessions more fun. We will also offer parent training so the parents are aware of what is going to happen during the session to help and try to keep their child motivated. And here goes the pro closing statement.
Thank you. So as we could see, Pro highlighted the advantages of using telehealth within a delivery service model and rebutted cons arguments related to practicality. Our primary point that we made as the Pro side is that telehealth gives the clients immediate access to therapy online, and that significantly improves the accessibility of ABA to a wider variety of audiences and unencumbers delivering ABA through geography constraints. So telehealth supports several key parts of the ethics code, which includes timeliness, confidentiality, providing effective treatment by expanding the amount of clients that we can provide effective treatment for. We also argue that not providing telehealth violates the ethics code because we are not providing effective treatment. Telehealth also supports naturalistic intervention in non-contrived settings because most telehealth is performed in home settings, which can provide a nice alternative to contrived clinic settings that are the traditional norm. Finally, telehealth provides convenience, limiting the need to travel or to cancel due to weather, which significantly increases or decreases the cost penalties from any sort of weather or travel constraints. Point number 2 is that telehealth is more cost effective. Telehealth offers cost convenience associated with no traveling, and pricing may be cheaper due to the overhead reductions from clinical practices that we discussed in our main points. And also telehealth limits the overhead of any sort of like overall practitioner offices or overarching hospitals in that sort of way. Our third point was that telehealth increases the involvement of parents, which is key for ABA training. Ethically, telehealth includes stakeholders and facilitates the ABA be continued after hours. And the telehealth delivery service models allows parents to be directly involved so that they can deliver those services after hours. And therefore, it is an optimal service model to the clinic or the in-person clinic delivery service model where parents are not necessarily involved. So telehealth requires parental supports, empowers family with an analyst right there, able to give advice through telehealth, and shows that this delivery service model is optimal in terms of generalization and maintenance to the home setting. Pro also provided rebuttals to Con's main points. Con point 1 is a decreased data accuracy and misdiagnosis, and Pro showed that telehealth has connectivity standards that are required for sessions. If those aren't met, sessions can't start. Therefore, automatically we start with a nice baseline for having connectivity standards that allows for appropriate data collection and therefore appropriate treatment. We also show that there are workarounds to data collection that can be used if there are certain intervals where the data collection or the internet connection is not as good. Con point number 2, increased fraud and abuse. We show that practitioners use technology with vendors that comply with HIPAA, so that kind of negates the concerns with fraud and abuse, and that trading is providing for proper billing and documentation. And what we also see here is that fraud and abuse is an ethical issue as opposed to a technology and service delivery model issue, and that violation of the ethics code is more based on the individual as opposed to the problems with telehealth. Point 3 that the con made was that it is hard to train, engage, and to motivate clients and parents. And we argue that practitioners create opportunities for reinforcement and participation online that is still possible even without those in-person prompts, and that practitioners offer parent training to provide reinforcement during sessions and empower parents. So we believe that although there may be that initial barrier to motivating clients and parents, that overall having that parent-led treatments can actually be more reinforcing for the clients and shifts the power over to the parents and generalizes to more settings. So in summary, the benefits of telehealth to provide quality healthcare at a distance, we don't think that that can be overstated. Practitioners are ethically bound to do what is possible to provide treatment regardless of geographic location and of any sort of other constraints. And that parental training and involvement greatly increases the ability to generalize to other after sessions. And that's why we believe that telehealth is an effective delivery service model for providing ABA and special education services. We will now turn it over to the con side to deliver their closing statements. Okay, I will now be speaking for the con side. So cons summarize multiple concerns with telehealth and refuted pro's arguments. The first argument given by pro was First, we showed that as a con side, we showed that telehealth leads to decreased data accuracy and misdiagnosis. Telehealth decreases accuracy and threatens data-driven analysis, which is the key to ABA services, ultimately harming the client by designing interventions based on unclear data, which is a big no-no in the ethics code. It violates several parts of the BACB ethics code, and the problem of consistent connectivity exacerbates these concerns. We believe that we cannot provide effective data-driven treatment through telehealth service model, and that alternative in-person models should be emphasized at all costs. Second, telehealth relies on parental support and buy-in, providing hardships for families with conflicting priorities and interfering with treatment. With telehealth, we assume that parents are readily available to deliver treatment, and this isn't necessarily the case. So we rely on that parental support and buy-in to provide effective telehealth, which simply cannot be relied upon. Point two are concerns with fraud, that telehealth offers the opportunity to fraud, which is a well-known and researched issue with telehealth that we have shown through several sources. And telehealth provides the temptation to multitask with other services at the BCBA and to simply walk away from services. We've shown that there has been a case with $44 million settlements where that fraud was present. And so we need to evaluate whether or not that potential for fraud is worth it when it comes to telehealth, and we believe it is not. Point three is that it is difficult to develop client engagement through the screen and through telehealth, and that reinforcement, rapport building, and a good relationship between practitioner and client is very key for providing effective ABA services. And telehealth increases the difficulty of doing so. It's difficult to build rapport over a screen and be a reinforcing person, especially when the client may not consider the screen to be an effective stimulus and may rely more on tactile in-person stimulation, which is much more difficult to do over telehealth than in person. And therefore, the practice is very heavily reliant on parental support, and training parents is more difficult over telehealth. Maybe they don't necessarily have the time. So this just shows a few barriers to providing telehealth service which engages the client adequately to provide adequate service. We also provided counterpoints to pros' arguments. Pros show that the immediacy of therapy is one benefit of telehealth. However, ABA requires prompts that are difficult to implement over telehealth, and we show that that immediacy might not be an effective treatment due to the sensory needs of the clients and due to internet not being an effective model for providing reinforcement, punishment, other sensory needs, etc. Pro point two is that telehealth is more cost effective. However, we show that costs can be the same or more based on the insurance provider, and that telehealth may be considered an extra service only when budget allows. Cost effectiveness research does not include broader overall factors which may be relevant to the topic. Finally, pro point number three is that it allows for more parental involvement. We have shown that parents must be trained properly and might accidentally reinforce behaviors if parents are not open to feedback, or if they accidentally do things which the therapist may not do in person and are unwilling to change their practices. So in summary, con demonstrates the difficulty related to practicality and effectiveness of telehealth, where the perceived benefits are actually limited in actual practice once telehealth is actually implemented. Telehealth was considered a convenient solution to delivering ABA at a distance, but there are ethical concerns. The requirement of parent involvement can be impractical, and con demonstrated the difficulty of telehealth shows that the benefits are actually limited in practice. So thank you very much. We want to thank you for coming to our debates and for hearing our arguments. We hope that that allowed you to make a decision for whether or not telehealth should be used in the ABA delivery service model. And thank you for your time.